Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Wednesday today, and I am a little earlier. I switched up my schedule, and I said I'm going to go live at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. But I have a potluck dinner and meeting tonight at 6 o'clock. So I'm going live a little bit earlier today, but as of next week, I'll be back to my regular time at 6:30 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, it will be 11 a.m. on Saturday and 12 noon Pacific on Sunday. Getting into this new schedule, just taking a little bit of adjustment. So anyway, welcome. Today is a technique, and I thought I would share one of my favorite ways in making backgrounds. Now there's lots of ways to make backgrounds, and so using the Stampin' Blends on the window sheets is a great way with alcohol, but you can also use your blending brushes to create really pretty kind of ombre effect backgrounds, and that's what I'm going to do today. And so there's not much you have to do to this once you have this background. Just stamp it and you're set to go. So I want to just show you how easy it is to do. You can do it for a larger piece. I'm going to do just like enough to cover a card base, and my dog is barking downstairs, so hopefully that's not too loud. But you could do a full 8.5 by 11 inch piece of cardstock and then cut it up and use it. But I'm going to do just enough for one card today. Hey Pam, how are you doing? All right, I'll switch over and we'll get started. So I'm going to use the Layers of Beauty. I'm absolutely in love with this stamp. This is 85%, so it is actually larger than what it appears. Now this stamp is $1 million stamp set, so that means that Shelley Godby sold $1 million worth of Stampin' Up! Product, and then when you do that, you get to design a card, which absolutely is an amazing thing. So I'm going to use this stamp and then a sentiment on it. It's just easy peasy. How's that? Okay, so I have a piece of basic white cardstock. Now, usually I typically cut this bigger. So I've cut this to be 3 3/4 by 5 because it's going to go on this matte layer of Petunia Pop, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4. Typically, I would cut this to either be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 or 4 by 5 1/4, and then trim it down. But we'll just go for it today without trimming. And I've pulled out Pretty in Pink, Petunia Pop, and Peach Pie. So I'm going to try and create a bit of an ombre-ish effect. So we're going to start with the Peach Pie. Yeah, me too, Pam, me too. I love Petunia Pop. Peach Pie, then Pretty in Pink, and then the Petunia Pop. So let's start with our Peach Pie. Pull this down. Now, when I use my blending brush, which I've got one here, I don't wash them. I guess I should. I don't. I usually just kind of rub them on some grid paper or scrap paper to see that they're not going to have a whole bunch of ink come off of them. But I keep my lid open, so I pick up the Peach Pie, and then I kind of tap off. And I want an ombre effect. I'm going to go from top to bottom to top. We'll see what it looks like, but I'm just going to start down here, and I'm just going to start kind of rubbing back and forth, and just to apply. And I try to start off of my cardstock, and the reason I do that is that I don't want these splotches, too dark splotches on the edge. I'm getting a little bit, which is why I typically cut my cardstock bigger. So you can see here, I've got a little bit of a darker spot, and maybe here. I'm going to just ignore those and move on. But usually, like I said, I cut my cardstock a little bigger and then trim it down so I cover or hide those or cut those off, basically. So this is Pretty in Pink. So now we're going to kind of come across the middle with the Pretty in Pink. Going to go overlap it a little bit. You can kind of blend, hopefully I can blend those splotches in. Going in a bit of a circular motion in the middle. It's kind of hard to get the full. Just kind of adding some color. I do have quite a dark side to that one, but note to self, always cut your basic white cardstock bigger than you want it. Now I want to tap this off a fair amount because the petunia pop is quite dark, and so I don't want it to be too dark, and I am getting it kind of dark, but all right, there we go. Pretty kind of ombre effect. Like I said, I am getting a little bit of dark splotching here, but we're just going to go with it. Now I'm going to grab a baby wipe and just clean this up so I don't get ink all over my card bases. And let's take a dry one and dry it off so my paper doesn't stick. Okay. So just a few tips around this. If you don't want these darker areas, make sure you start off of the paper, use a bit of a circular motion and cut your cardstock. Now that wouldn't have helped me here, but if my cardstock was bigger, I could have probably trimmed some of these other dark splotches off. So start off your paper is a good technique. So I'm going to ink up. I've got my large flower, and I'm going to just basically stamp this on the card, or on this piece of basic white cardstock that I created. Now I'm going to bring in my piercing mat, or part of a piercing mat. I want to make sure that this stamps really well. And we're going to try and fit this and make sure I have some room for a sentiment. So I'm just going to, because it's photopolymer, you want to make sure you have something cushy underneath it. And because it's such a big stamp, I do like to use my clear block, or my piercing mat. You get a fairly good stamp when you use the glass mat, but I do like to have the piercing mat and something soft. Okay, so I'm going to pop this up on the petunia pop ribbon, or petunia pop cardstock. I'm thinking ribbon, as I pulled some ribbon out, and now I'm debating about whether it's going to work. So I'm just going to adhere this on like this. Would have been actually really nice if I'd done it on black. That would have really popped it up. Okay, and I've got a piece of thick basic white cardstock. So this is 5.5 by 8.5. And we're going to score it. I got glue on my fingers. Score it at 4 1/4. Like that. And we will fold into the mountain, or the raised line, and burnish it with our bone folder. Okay. So I never know whether this goes this way. So you could definitely make a booklet fold like this. Yeah, it's an easy way not to have to color the image. So you could do booklet fold, you could do a tent fold landscape if you wanted to. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do a booklet fold portrait. I pulled out this. This is the very vanilla, black and very vanilla checked ribbon, and I just think it would just make this pop. So I am going to use this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going. can't decide. Let's do a sentiment to start with and see where we get to. All right, I've got the sentiment that says, "You make my heart sing." And photopolymer stamps, especially sentiments, they want to twist a little bit. And so I like to just kind of take my stamp and just kind of let it go, just kind of drop it onto the piercing mat or your glass mat, and then pick it up with my block, because it kind of goes into the shape that it wants to be in. And so we're just going to take and stamp. It still looks crooked to me, but I'm just going to go with it. There we go. You make my heart smile. Okay. I think I've stalled long enough to be able to decide whether I'm going to put the ribbon on or not. Okay. So I think I'm not going to put the ribbon on. I've got a piece of petunia pop here, so I'm just going to take and trim this. So that piece of basic white cardstock was cut to 1/2 inch. So I'm going to make this 5/8 of an inch. So just a little bit wider, not too much. And okay, there we go. I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll see about ribbon in a minute. Let's use some dimensionals. Almost done this sheet, and then I get to open up a new package. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to kind of layer this a little bit like that, just so that it's got a bit of a color behind it. And then I think I will just take and put that across like that. We'll use, oh, there we go, dimensionals. I think that's all of those dimensionals. It is, yay. Okay, let's glue this down. So you could do this in blues, maybe use a different stamp, although I've seen blue roses. You could do it in yellows and oranges, all sorts of ways to make it pop. All right, there we go. I don't think I'm going to put any ribbon on this, but I am going to put some embellishments. So these are the in color, the 2024-26 in color resin dots. And let's see, I think I'm going to use the peach pie ones, because I've got a fair amount of petunia pop. And so we'll put one there. And then the last thing we need is something for the inside of the card. So I'm going to take this little flower and find a block and just stamp it on the inside. I don't typically put an extra layer on the inside of card if I have used the thick basic white. The only reason I would use a second layer is if I was going to color this with the Stampin' Blends, and then you're going to start to see that soak through. So then I would put another piece of cardstock on the inside. But if you like to have the nice look of the layering on the inside, then you go for it. All right, so there we go. An easy way, thanks Holly, to create a background for a large image or any background. You could use this for any kind of image on it, and it's so easy to do with those blending brushes. Just remember, use the blending brush, start off of the cardstock, and then my big trick, which I didn't do tonight, was to cut your cardstock bigger and then trim it down to the size you want. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Now, I hope you'll join me on Saturday. Thanks, Pam, at 11 a.m. Pacific, and I will share another project with you. All right, thanks for joining me tonight, everybody. Happy stamping. Bye.